Hello and welcome to another episode of What's on the Pile. I'm Nathan Besner, and joining me is Shane Lee,
Hello?
Jane Belcastro,
Hi.
Jenner,
Here.
and Wagner.
Here as well.
This episode will be discussing the fascinating fourth film in the Alien franchise, Alien Resurrection, directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet and starring a whole bunch of fantastic ne'er-do-wells, including Michael Wincott, Ron Perlman, Brad Dourif, Dominique Pinion, Dan Hedaya, Gary Dourdan from CSI, and Raymond Cruz shows up, amongst some other interesting people. Rounding out the cast, of course, are our two leads, Winona Ryder and Sigourney Weaver, everybody's favorite Ripley. Resurrection picks up 200 years after Lieutenant Ellen Ripley died on Fury 161 in Alien 3. In this distant future, Ripley is cloned so that scientists may remove the queen embryo that was in her chest in the third movie. Soon the Serenity shows up at the medical space station / military operation USM Auriga, where xenomorph breeding is about to begin. In tow is secretive cargo delivered by a bunch of space thieves who aim to misbehave.
Joss Whedon.
Written by Joss Whedon, Alien Resurrection has found itself as a sort of black sheep on the franchise. On its opening weekend, it had some decent reviews, but they fell pretty steadily. At the end of its run, it was mostly considered mediocre. A lot of the bad reviews place the blame on the script, on Joss Whedon, whereas Joss Whedon placed the blame on literally everything but the script.
I can actually vouch for that. I read the script before I saw the film, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah. Anyway, Shane, this was the one that we were convincing you to watch, and I don't think we so much as convinced you as you just gave up.
Press ganged it.
I mean, I've owned it for a long time. I've owned two copies. I have the DVD box set and then the latest box set that goes all the way up to Covenant, I think, but no AVPs on it. So I was like, it's like Close Encounters, where like I've owned it for forever. Like, why not? Might as well watch it.
So literally on your pile.
Yeah. So tell us your experience.
So I mean, you guys had me expecting something. I was expecting like this like fun house. Like I was expecting lots of like fisheye lenses and Canton angles and crazy shenanigans. There was like a little bit of that. Like there's a shot of, when you see like I guess it's baby Ripley, or she's like a child in the little in the cone or whatever, and you see like the three guys like kind of like looking at her all googly eyed.
In the back of the tank, yeah,
the tank, yeah. I mean, I thought it was okay. It wasn't as strange as I thought it would be. It did have like the basic DNA of what to me is an Aliens movie, even though I'm not a huge Aliens aficionado. It was, to me, an Alien movie is like this ragtag group of people in a stuck with an alien, and there's like usually a corporate guy running around who sucks. Had all that stuff. It did have like, I think of the first Alien as like sort of this like dark, a lot of blacks. Second Alien's a lot of blue. Third Alien's a lot of gray and brown, and this one introduces yellow into the color palette. Is sort of how I looked at it. I mean, I have a question before I continue. Have the aliens always been this wet, or is it just this one?
Yeah.
Every shot of the alien, they're just dripping. Like it must have been like castor oil or whatever.
No,
they were almost. The alien was almost this wet in the first one, but no, the aliens were not this wet in the second or third one.
That's just because they swim in the fourth one.
No, when they're in the cage, they are just dripping.
Covered with stuff.
There we go.
Nice.
No, somebody busted out the industrial Hollywood Boulevard porn set grade 30-gallon vats of freaking KY for this movie.
Yeah.
This
so-called perfect organism that just leaks moisture everywhere. Like how do they go, like how do they not become like this just shriveled up husk within like 10 minutes of existing? So wet. Anyways.
I just watched Aliens again. I mean, it's all imprinted in our minds, but they were about the same amount of wet.
Okay,
they were gluier in Aliens.
They're watery in Aliens. Don't you remember when they do the close up of the face and it's almost like water is pouring down?
There's still there are a couple of shots like that in Alien. Aliens was a lot more sort of a gluey quality to the slime.
Well, that's because they've been hung out for a while.
Fine, you're right. We'll move on.
The Marines,
Jesus.
The Marines moved in after the aliens had taken up housekeeping, so there had been time for the mucus to accumulate in corners and stuff like that. That's the end product of living with an alien, is just a whole lot of mucus coating everything in your apartment. So,
I mean, I guess two of the things that really stuck out to me was like, so Winona Ryder. I like Winona Ryder. I think I knew already that she was a synthetic. Is that what they're called in this universe? Synthetics?
Yeah.
But you get the sense of, early on in the movie, there's some mystery about her, and you're thinking, like, why is she here? And then you find out her big secret, and it's still like, well, why is she here? I never really understood. And she seemed, as an actress, kind of lost. Maybe that was part of the whole director not being able to communicate, apparently, to the cast. With Ripley, like, I understand why you have to have Sigourney Weaver in the movie, and they seems like they kind of forced her in. As as you guys are all, I'm sure you guys are all Ripley fans. I mean, your cat is named Ripley, right?
Yep.
Like, what did this Ripley do for you? Like, she has her memories, which I know we've seen in lots of movies where they explore: do the memories make you who you are? Do the memories, affect how you behave? Here, she just seems to have her memories as a reference point, or just a reference for her character, or information for her character to draw upon. But Ripley herself doesn't really do anything. She doesn't really have a character. She's just kind of a body with the same name and face. So I'm wondering.
Okay, I was going to answer. I honestly, I disagree. I really liked that whole, kind of half xenomorph, half human thing, and she was badass, and I liked that. I think they were trying to introduce Winona Ryder as the new alien female face, but because Sigourney Weaver was probably getting too expensive and older.
I mean, she was badass, and that was cool that she was part xenomorph, and that I guess she was sort of the queen or whatever. But just in terms of the character, I didn't really connect with her. She just kind of showed up and would say badass things and then help them fight.
And do badass things. Yeah.
I took her as more of, since she was part xenomorph herself, she took on a lot of the qualities of those creatures, and she even did her nails like that. And it's that's the way I took her. As a fan, I would say the enjoyment I get out of it is that it's kind of the only time you ever get to see Ripley having true fun and not being like anxiety ridden because all this shit is happening. It's like she gets to cut loose, and to me that's relaxing. I find it fun in almost a comic booky kind of way. To me, this movie is very close to a cartoon in a lot of ways, which is what I like about it.
I found myself being drawn to the other characters instead. I mean, Ron Perlman's super fun. Dominique Pinion for me stole the show.
Oh yeah,
I loved him. I was afraid, when he got the acid dripped on him early on, I'm like, fuck, already. But no, he gets to have a lot of great moments. I like Christy. I was very confused by Christy's death because he's got a dead alien on his foot, and he just drops into the water. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
he's like the most bad. That kills him.
One of the more pointless deaths there.
This movie has a way of cashiering its badasses before their time.
Michael Wincott doesn't get to do anything.
Exactly.
Who doesn't?
Michael Wincott, the captain.
Oh, and then Raymond Cruz. He's got a cool death, but he doesn't, do a whole lot. I don't think. He gets his face eaten.
He has that part where he gets to deliver exposition for Cole's background.
Yeah,
that is what he's there for, which is great because it's Raymond Cruz.
That little bit is elaborated. We ended up rewatching the extended version for this viewing, and Cruz has at least another additional bit where he's kind of geeking out about Christie's guns. which sort of rounds out the character or puts the character into focus as he's just a complete fanboy.
Okay. There's
So
a moment.
He's a fanboy for synthetics. He's a fanboy for guns. He's like, ooh, cool.
There's a moment. There's a moment when Sigourney Weaver grabs Ron Perlman. I guess his name's Johnner, and she grabs his tongue, and you see his mouth is so. I mean, I know he has a big mouth, but oh my god, the way he opens his mouth, it looks like CG. It's so comically shot. He looks like a xenomorph. It was very striking. I thought that was a lot of fun. Who else was there? You know, when Dan Hedaya, early on he uses his breath to open a door. I'm like, what the hell is this? I was expecting more weird stuff like that. I know later on Call uses that, or somebody uses somebody's
Winona
breath.
Ryder has
to break into a door.
He has the breath mint sprays that get through security doors.
Sure. Well, I mean, it didn't even work for Dan Hedaya. It probably just malfunctioned.
Yeah, he had a fun death. I'm trying to think who had the death where the. Oh yeah, I mean, I love Leland Orser. I like when he showed up.
He's the one innocent person in this movie.
Yeah,
but he goes out with a bang. The way he kills the guy was fucking great. I mean, I saw it coming. I didn't know it was going to be quite. I'm like he's going to use that chest burst to kill somebody or to kill the guy, but to do it through the guy's face or through the back of his head out his face was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I was expecting less of the alien tropes than the previous movies, just from the way you guys talked about it. I thought it was going to be much more of like a circus almost. Or I mean, I know there's a lot of the fun camaraderie and the joking around and stuff, but I mean, you got some of that in the first three, or I don't remember the third one so well, but the first one you had the crew, second one you had all the Marines. Of course, they're going to shit talk each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the third one had a lot of gallows humor in the script that I think was kind of underappreciated about that movie. But I see what you mean.
I mean, I just don't remember. I think I've seen Alien maybe 4 times, Aliens maybe 5 times, and then Alien 3 I saw one time when it first came out. I just really don't remember it.
I wanted to go back to something really quickly that you guys touched upon, which was the extended edition and the theatrical version. I started turning on I have the Blu-ray anthology as the copy I have. I turned it on and I was like, oh shit, yeah, this extended version, that'll be great. And then Jean-Pierre Jeunet comes on. He's like, so I put this together. It is not director's cut. He specifically states, this is not my cut. It's something for the fans. My movie was perfect.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean,
confidence.
I mean, it wasn't.
Which is why I watched the theatrical again.
That's fair. Yeah, I know. For my own part, I know the theatrical very, very well. I've only seen the extended version 1 or 2 times, and either way, it's been a very long time. So I think I opted for that. I think the extended version actually does constitute an improvement.
Okay.
Well, not the beginning when he's squishing the bug. That was nasty.
That was a very Jeunet bit, though.
Yeah, but it was kind of gross. I wasn't really into it.
So very Jeunet.
It was. I don't know. Whatever. I didn't like it. It was. I can't think of the word. Goofy, I guess.
He's pretty goofy.
So very Jeunet.
Well, yeah. It just didn't fit with the rest of it. Well, anyway, it just felt like, here's a taste of what I would, what I do, but at the end, I don't know. It just it didn't suit the movie. I didn't think.
Yeah, but you like the Walmart line.
I did like the Walmart line. That Weyland-Yutani had been bought out by Walmart, or no, taken over, hostile takeover by Walmart. So excellent. I love that. I laughed.
I tend to disapprove of specific references to our time period in like aliens movies and whatnot. That's why I like Weyland-Yutani so much, because it's already a conglomerate. Like, that's already the joke. Is that like Weyland and Yutani merged, and It was bitter, and then to do that joke again on top of the joke while not getting the original joke, I find it frustrating. It's
Aw.
one of the many things that I don't like about the movie. Is the Whedon touch, the dialogue, the
Whedonism.
Whedon-esque dialogue here and there. I feel like it was toned down a lot by everybody else who worked on the movie. I have read one of the 5 ending versions of the original script, and it's pretty much exactly the same. It doesn't deviate that much. A little of the dialogue here and there changes. Some decisions were made on set to go in a different direction here or there, but by and large, it's fairly faithful to the script, which is funny because that's exactly what Joss Whedon said. He said, "No, let me put that to rest. This is what I wrote, but they did everything wrong." Everything. The wrong art direction, the wrong cinematographer, the wrong director, the wrong cast. And that right there is what I think has put me back on the side of Alien Resurrection, because that is such an arrogant and fucked up thing. I mean, one of the greatest cinematographers in history, and Joss fucking Whedon is going to be down on his work when he did a silver nitrate process on the goddamn thing to make it look better. Fuck you, Joss Whedon. You're a piece of shit. Nobody likes you anymore.
That's true. Well,
Okay.
though, I mean, when you think about it, if you've got one writer who has, a vision, and then it's given to a director, and the director's like, "Fuck your vision." I mean, you would have some butthurt. You would have some butthurt. They did probably pick the wrong writer for the right director, or the wrong director for the right writer. We'll go with.
Yeah, I mean, originally they wanted Danny Boyle on this project, which
wow.
I could actually see Boyle doing a very solid job for. I mean, Boyle is a big Alien fan. He was, hosted a number of the documentaries since then. I think that he actually would have worked well with this script. The version of the script that I read was probably a relatively early draft. But between that one and Dogma, both in 1997, 1997 was the year I swore off of reading script drafts before I saw the movie. The script I read was a lot better. Granted, it probably needed a much larger budget to do it full justice, and the very, very different version of the newborn that it had at the end, which was basically a giant alien-esque white tick. That didn't work so super terrific, but there are a lot of lines that worked in the script and did not work the way that they filmed it. Like Perlman's chick thing line, which is still the worst single line in any Alien movie.
Man, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, it worked on the page when I read it. Granted, that's been a long time as well, but
Yeah, your attitudes may have grown up a bit too. I mean, certainly they have.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not for me to judge.
I put the majority of the blame for the lesser portions of the movie on the script myself. I really think he does not deserve to be saying everybody else did wrong and I did right. It's Joss Whedon's dialogue is great when he directs it because it's his voice. And that's what the problem I have with him as a writer is that you're not hearing a character's voice, you're hearing his voice. And any other filmmaker who's not him will not shoot it that way because they don't understand that's literally his voice, and he wants you to say it exactly the way he enunciates it.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I see it not necessarily just with Joss Whedon and Jeunet. I see it sort of throughout that where the film has trouble is where there's an obvious mismatch. It's where there's a problem between like the delivery and the written word. But there's there's action scenes in there that are flat ridiculous. The whole bit with them climbing up the tower and then How long was that scene of Ron Perlman hanging upside down, shooting down a ladder, unable to hit an alien about 8 feet away? That was repeatedly
Well,
dodging left and right.
well, there were two
Um,
guys between him and the aliens,
Yeah,
but
that was,
yeah.
that was a
Yeah,
tough shot.
but still, I mean, it was too long of a scene for that to happen. So it was somebody who felt comfortable doing action scenes decided to extend this because the film needed more action or something like that. The sort of the mismatch on this is profound. Now, I don't know if you want me to go into my sort of take on it, or if I'm interrupting someone.
Sure.
If you want to.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've seen this movie once before when it was in theaters. This is the first time I've ever revisited it, I think. I don't think I ever did it for movie night, though I think it would have gone over well. I actually came away liking it a lot more. When I saw it in the theaters, I got way too hung up on aspects of it that, I mean, this is going to sound like a nerd complaint, but scientifically, this entire story makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
So they took the ashes of Ripley and cloned them, and somehow the clone was already pregnant with an alien at that stage.
Well, the blood
That's
sample,
nonsense.
not ashes.
I mean,
Oh,
all
it's from a blood sample. I thought it was a blood sample on record too.
any remnants from a cloning is going to be nonsense, and it's always used that
Yeah.
way in these kinds of movies.
It is, and this time around, I did take it sort of as a heavy metal take on Alien. Did any of you see Metal Hurlant, the TV series? I know Jenner did. Anybody else?
Yeah, you saw it as well.
I watched it. All of it? Yeah, I guess.
Well, you saw a good chunk of
Yeah.
it at
Yeah,
least.
it was good.
I did not think it was good. I had a lot of problems with it, and I really wanted to like it, but the absurdity and sort of the cultural clash between sort of the French attitude and the English language and the structuring and all that just fell to pieces. I think this film is actually a better heavy metal comic series than that TV series was, because it's believe it or not, less blunt than that TV series was trying to be, and it's just got a handful of here's your ridiculous cosmic ideas that you can clone a person and somehow they end up pregnant before they're created, and then you can take the child out of.
Well, an
does that make any
unexpected
fucking
benefit of the genetic process.
Yeah, it's
Process.
Well, you see, the bits and pieces were all so entangled that they had to separate them out in a specific way and recreate them on their 3D printer with the, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I happen to know a little bit about CRISPR. It doesn't work like that.
I mean, talk about things that don't work the way that they work. Let's talk about how the acid for blood only acts like acid for blood when the plot wants it to.
Yeah.
Well, is Ripley's blood maybe not as strong because she bleeds multiple times? I know even in the first Alien, that's a huge deal. As soon as that happens.
In this case, I'm even talking about the alien's blood. Sometimes it melts through shit, and sometimes it just doesn't.
I mean, the couple of drips that fell on Dominique Pinion should have killed him.
Yeah, should have eaten through his entire body. Like just
according to the previous, according
ear.
to Alien, it's molecular acid, to quote the first
I mean,
one.
I thought it was pretty cool.
But
No,
I mean, I thought it was pretty clever that the aliens used their own. They killed one of their own, right, to get the bleed. I thought that was pretty cool.
I do kind of love that this is the movie where the aliens finally do screw each other over for a percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that bit.
We cannot start
was the reason
holding. We can't start holding acid effects against this franchise and still love the second one so much. That's just hypocritical, because that shit hits Hicks in the face, and you know
it's a spray, but I
Yeah,
thought
but-
about this.
yeah,
But,
it's still enough that if we're gonna say that the acid for blood is gonna go through the body and kill anybody it touches, then it should have killed Hicks too.
But my point in all of this is that this time around, I knew what I was getting into, so I wasn't taking that aspect of it, wasn't declaring the movie dumb for some super science concept they bring to it, which is basically like superhero science. And because of that, I was able to enjoy it on more of a pop pulp culture side of things. And I ended up really liking it because it is an absolutely wild, what would happen if we did this, this, and this with these beloved pieces of a franchise. And it, in my view, doesn't entirely shit the bed in doing so. It does tell an interesting story. It's kind of, as Shane pointed out, it's kind of the same story we expect from Aliens. It did add some new aspects. It added a couple of new kinks to the process. The only part I felt that was like just interminably bad was the ending with Ripley and the child. Which again, I could be an ass and point out,
one atmosphere of pressure. One atmosphere of pressure cannot do that.
I have a friend who made that exact point, and I'm not entirely sure that's legitimate because you have the Pitot tube effect of the atmosphere streaming by outside causing a suction vacuum. But that might be getting even.
I mean, maybe there was already a cut on the alien's back, and all you need is that little tear, and I don't know.
Maybe the alien is basically just a sack of organs.
Yeah.
As far as the science goes, now look, I am not an expert, but I can't imagine that they could be in unregulated, uncharted space or whatever it was, and get back in like that
to
quickly.
Earth in 3 hours.
Yeah, it was they were passing by Jupiter. They were like 45 minutes away. I mean, light doesn't quite travel that fast, does it? Maybe.
No, I don't think it does. Yeah,
It's going to take 7 minutes of sunlight to get from the sun to us. So,
I mean,
in
space.
the movie sunlight.
I mean, if they were going fast enough to make that journey, when they hit Earth, the Earth would have been destroyed.
Yeah, they would have just gone straight through it. There is a line in the extended version that, as far as I can recall, is not in the theatrical version, where they say that they're crashing it in an uninhabited sector, which smooths over that particular level of extinction level event a little bit, just a little bit, though, because you're still the explosion itself is still enough to basically kill anybody who's left on the shithole that is Earth.
Which ending did you read?
Did I read?
Yeah.
Oh, the in the script, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, basically, they ended
there are
up
5 of them, and then they didn't do any of them.
The one that I read was the one where it actually ended up crashing into the side of a mountain at a significantly reduced rate, so you could actually get the sense of both how it did not destroy the continent that it crashed into, but also B, how everybody could survive a low orbit drop out of the thing, including the giant white tick version of the newborn, who actually ended up having a foot pursuit with Ripley and a big kind of mechanical thresher that ended up getting chopped into at the end of the picture. Yeah,
that's okay. The farm equipment, the thing. That's
the ending I read. Yeah,
that was in 3 of the endings. The ending I read was the big main space station isn't going anywhere. Once they get in the Betty, that's where everything starts to go to shit in the script. They're just getting away from the thing. The thing's not going to crash land or anything. They're leaving it adrift, and they drive the Betty into Earth, and they crash it onto there. And then Ripley and Call pop out of the thing, and they're like, "Look, there's some farm equipment." And then they go get in it, and they just run over the newborn, and who is described as bipedal in the version that I read. It has several descriptions that Joss Whedon never landed on a real idea. I think the design they came up with is I find it very disturbing, and I like that.
Completely distasteful, honestly, to me. And I will say that, did you guys use subtitles?
Yeah.
No.
Because they actually have the subtitles for the baby screaming, "Oh no, oh no," and it just fucked me up.
The newborn is a creature of pathos. I like pathos.
Yes, it had sad, scared eyes in many close-ups, and it looked like it was a feeling creature.
Yeah, no, it's what happens to it is legitimately horrible. To say nothing of impossible. But leaving that aside for the moment, I did note with some amusement that one of the voices provided for it was by our old pal Archie Hahn, who was the lead singer of the Juicy Fruits back in Phantom of the Paradise. To say nothing of being a favorite of Joe Dante as well. So that's interesting. Strange little, really? But anyway,
layered over Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, that I like the newborn. I think it's kind of interesting. I would have liked it because in the draft of the script that I read, the giant tick thing actually chest burst out of the queen, which I think would have been a nice touch. I kind of would have liked it if it had been basically dueling siblings at the end there, and the pathetic newborn would have died trying to defeat the big white tick thing. That's the ending that the movie should have had in my head canon.
And then Freddy's glove comes out of it. Never mind.
What's all this, gentlemen?
Yes.
Anyway.
So I watched this with Amelia. Because I watch just about anything with her now. She loved this movie. She thought it was amazing, and she loved the newborn. She was like, "Oh, that's my baby. That's my child." That's her new thing she says when she really loves something. "That's my child." I think it's a great saying. Yeah, she loved the newborn, and when it got to the scene of it screaming as it's torn apart inside out, she was like crying. And she was like, "Oh, that poor thing." She empathized with it so much, which I think is kind of an amazing feat filmically in storytelling, is to have this hideous monstrosity that we ultimately empathize with probably more than any other character in the movie, and it's there for like 10 minutes.
It's only there for like 10 minutes. To borrow the line from the Lost Skeleton of Cadaver, it just didn't know enough not to kill everyone. It's a sad, pathetic creature, but and it didn't get a fair shake.
It was kind of closer to Dan O'Bannon's original version from the first one.
A little bit. A deeply confused infant.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help that the second person that it sees basically offers up his head for it to chow down on. Can we talk about what a bunch of weird fetishistic freaks the doctors are in this movie?
I think they've been on that space station a very long time.
The Amazon. So I put this on. I put the digital code in, so I have it on movies everywhere, but I transferred it to Amazon just so I could watch stuff. The Amazon synopsis is like, evil scientists are release an alien or something. I'm like, evil scientists, okay. That's kind of a funny description.
I'm gonna go with Eddie Dane from Miller's Crossing and Chucky, clone Dana Barrett from Ghostbusters.
And weirdly, it made me think about that's funny. It made me think about The Expanse, where the doctors were so obsessed with what bring in the protomolecule to life, because they've been, but they were all like that naturally.
See what it does. We really want to see what it does.
No, but the reason they're a step further in this movie is that they want to fuck the science experiment. That's what they're doing. That's what they want to do. They want to get busy with the aliens, and they love them so much. I like it. It's very French to me that he emphasizes sexuality of this thing so much, which people use as they say that's kind of one of the drawbacks of the movie. But to say that something being sexualized in an alien film, to me, is like totally missing the point.
Yeah, this is a movie for which the origin of the franchise was, I want a vagina to rape a guy.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying that, but see, that was that's sort of what I was thinking about, like the earlier Alien movies, the face huggers are actually, there's a meme out there somewhere about, like, this is the worst thing a man can imagine happening to them, is being raped in the face and killed during childbirth. And so they suddenly, kind of turn it all around into about motherhood in this movie, and I find it very distasteful. I don't know why. No, I do know why. I've been through childbirth, and it's not that good.
That
It's all
It's
about,
actually one of the I mean, I know a lot of moms are like, oh, it's a beautiful moment. And like, no, it freaking sucked. I have one kid, and there's a reason for that.
no, the whole motherhood thing was started in Aliens. That's where they did it.
You probably won't remember.
And that's
I mean,
where
we saw it recently, and I don't really remember it being
the very beginning of Aliens,
much
Ripley is having a nightmare in which
about her child.
Yeah.
And then the cat hisses at her, runs off, and then she's screaming, kill me, as she's about to give birth to the alien. So, yeah, there might have been some messaging in there.
Yeah.
Aliens is the good mother versus the evil mother. Very fairy tale. Alien 3 is pro-choice as fuck. There are ruminations on motherhood, but nothing too super specific, I guess. In Alien Resurrection, I mean, there's the Queen Mother who initially loves her child, and the child doesn't appreciate it. Goes for the prettier mom. It's about stepmotherhood. Alien Resurrection. Between the cloning and everything else, Alien Resurrection is about step parenthood.
No,
I disagree with that.
I completely disagree with that.
That's just
too.
off the top of my head, but still.
But the whole thing about the alien queen changing how she reproduces to be more of a mammalian type thing. It's like, I don't know, why would they?
I think it made sense to me if Ripley's gonna.
Sense, but it's still really nasty.
They've done stuff with that before, with the aliens taking on the aspect of whatever they incubate within, and so they're kind of working in reverse there. But
I guess I'm not saying any of it was bad. It's one of the icky, squicky things. I did see it in the theater too. It was in Detroit. It was the first time I ever sat in stadium seating. So
cool.
yeah, I know. I was like,
actually,
I've arrived. Why don't they do this in every theater? Well, guess what, guys?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I think I may actually be onto something with that whole step parent idea. Because if you look at the movie from the standpoint of the newborn, Ripley is its stepmother, and she ends up being an evil stepmother. Notably, not long after this, Sigourney Weaver was the evil queen in Snow White: A Tale of Terror. Do the math. Wake up, people.
Oh no, the story beats just do not.
It's a little bit of a reach.
Yeah. They say the word mother so many times in this movie. I cannot see how you can't see it as a mother allegory. Like it rejects the alien and embraces Ripley as its parent, because when the queen was cloned, that's how it was created. It was cloned with her DNA, so it sees her as its actual mother because it wants to be more human.
Yeah.
It sees itself as a person.
No, calling the computer in this one father is just one of a number of jokes that are kind of built into this.
Yeah,
that was a fun line. I don't think that had any meaning behind it. Just
I do want to point out that there is one achingly poignant moment in the extended version of the movie that is not in the theatrical version, and even if nothing else that was restored needed to be there, it's one that I think really would have radically improved it. Where there are occasional sort of very kind of suggestions in the theatrical version that when Ripley looks at Call, she's kind of sort of thinking back on Newt. And there is this one moment, it's an extension of the scene in the chapel where Clone Ripley says that she remembers a child who had nightmares, and somehow she can't even remember her name, which is just an achingly sad moment for reasons the characters in the movie will never even realize, and I think that is a very important bit there.
It's interesting. It's originally when Sigourney Weaver said she had no interest in doing Alien 4, the original story treatment that Whedon wrote was they were cloning Newt to try to get the alien out of her.
Except, of course, no alien was ever actually in Newt
Yeah.
because we saw Alien 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't Newt just
literally
get
the
blown up
point
or
of the
something?
movie.
Yeah,
She
Yeah,
drowns.
She
Yeah.
dies
Yeah,
in
she
her
drowns.
cryo.
Dies in her
That's
cryo.
right.
That's the entire point of opening her up and everything.
We had a fairly graphic autopsy that confirmed no alien.
Yeah, I can't watch that movie.
So
Because I
the
feel
big
like
question-
my child is dying. It sucks. Anyway.
Yeah.
So the big question I have is, Jenna, you were rather emphatic in that you did not like this film when we were talking about it last.
I like this movie. I just don't like it as much as any of the rest of the films in its entire franchise, or indeed the other franchise or the other franchise / sub franchise that run along with it.
So, do you feel that there is a fundamental flaw in it? Is it simply a?
It's a freaking mess.
Just not as good?
It is so. Well, I'm going into
introduction.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I did what you said. I tried to keep that heavy metal filter, like right here in the forefront of my brain. And then after I saw the movie, it smoothed some of the little bits over for me a little bit. But then it occurred to me, Prometheus is my heavy metal alien movie. Prometheus, of course, being the movie that I have described as a big weird blanket made just for me. Others don't like it. That's fine. They didn't make it for them. They made it for me. But leaving that aside.
No, we will not leave that aside. You don't get to traipse over that and say it's great and move on.
We'll circle back on that.
Yeah.
Because right now we're talking about Alien Resurrection. Alien Resurrection is, I think, fundamentally a movie that suffers from too many competing motivations. I liked it more on this viewing, again, not least for having seen the extended version, which I think does constitute a bit of an improvement on it, that I did on a lot of my previous viewings. Absent the context of the time, I think it's aged relatively well. That being said, a lot of the lines or the dialogue exchanges are just people kind of doing sort of self-consciously badass line deliveries back and forth. There is so much errant posturing in the dialogue, particularly in the deliveries, that, like I say, a lot of it was in the script that I read, and a lot of it worked in the script that I read. Just not even knowing Joss Whedon from, Dicko Suave at the time.
I knew you were going to say Dicko.
Guitars for the Rockbusters, an old school bad motherfucker from way back. Anyway.
Do you find the fault there in the directing or in the writing?
I find the fault in the directing, 100% and absolutely. But also, like I say, I can even see how in some instances the ways that the lines were delivered could have been edited to punch correctly. Like if they hadn't lingered so much on the chick thing line, which I'm going to keep circling back on because it's rough. It might have actually worked if they had just cut a little bit sooner at the beginning of the shot and cut a little bit sooner at the end of the shot. But it just lingers on people delivering self-consciously badass lines. The delivery almost feels like, again, this is through a present-day filter, but kind of an AI writing an action movie.
I don't.
And like
see
I said,
no. I wouldn't go that far. I don't like the script. I would not go that far. I've seen what AI can do.
I mean, that was the thing, was the script that I read, I liked the script. I was looking forward to the movie. And again, part of my initial disagreement with the picture may have been expecting something very, very different from what I got. There may have been, they made that into this? Also, I will freely allow that I saw way too many promo bits on it at the same time, and the promotional material for this movie had way too damn much of the movie in it.
Yeah, It had the
Yeah.
whole movie, just this short beats.
Except for the newborn.
Except for the
but
newborn. That was a
but they
surprise.
had stuff from basically every set piece in the entire picture. There is also some achingly bad CGI in this movie, which is not something that I am normally going to point to. But when you make a film that is a sequel to 3 films that were all nominated for Best Special Effects Oscars, and you end up with that weird silver crinkly overlay looking thing on the alien that skitters into the escape pod, as well as a similar sort of under-textured, unfinished feeling for that alien that ends up jumping out of the water, on the heels of some fairly good CGI when the aliens were completely underwater. It just feels... I mean, it feels like they ended up not throwing in as much money at parts of the movie that they should have. It has a even now, even after seeing the extended version, I think it has a distinctly
cheap,
underbaked feel to it, which is really the only film in that entire franchise that I can say that about. Going back to my statement from last week, like, this is my least favorite of the Alien movies, and I include the AVP franchise. Aliens versus Predator Requiem is a film that succeeds because it has no ambitions whatsoever. This is a film that has ambitions that it consistently fails to meet, in my mildly, sometimes kind of maybe, but maybe also not humble estimation.
That was a lot of hedging. I'm not quite sure where that ended up.
Rephrasing.
That is fine-tuning the level there over.
Okay. In my regarding the Alien series, my not terribly humble estimation at all, I think this is the weakest film in that entire franchise, or the Predator franchise for that matter as well.
Oh God, I disagree so much.
Disagree.
That's ridiculous. I mean, have you seen all the Predator? Yeah, of course you have. You've seen all the Predator.
I've seen all the Predator movies.
I think you have a chip on your shoulder about this movie in particular.
I like this movie.
Yeah, but to put it dead last,
yeah,
that's behind the Predator movies. I can see it. I can see it in the Alien franchise.
Yeah, I can see it in the Alien franchise.
Which movie in the Predator franchise do you think is inferior to this? 2? Are you kidding?
I'm not a big fan of 2 conceptually, but that's me. That's me.
Predator 2 is right up there with Alien 3 on my list of most underrated movies of the 90s.
Well, I guess I'm part of the group that's underrating it then.
Well,
mine is in the popular opinion category.
I
was thinking when I was watching this, I was trying to sort of see. I was trying to figure out if this film was for Andy in the Alien franchise what Hellraiser 11 was for Nate.
Which one's 11 even?
11 was the most recent. So the one with
Hulu Razor.
Oh, so is that actually 11? Isn't that sort
what
of
did I say about 11?
You had a lot of problems with it, as you know, the Cenobites hunting them. You had a conceptual problem with it.
Oh, yeah.
Missed the point of Hellraiser. So I was trying to see if that was the case with Andy. I have to say, based on this conversation, no. You're not saying that Alien 4 misses the point of the franchise. You're just saying it doesn't do it as well as the others.
I am saying it is a deeply flawed execution at every conceivable level.
I definitely... Darius Kanji, are you fucking kidding?
The cinematography is freaking amazing.
Yeah. The score? The score's great.
Not every conceivable level. The score is fantastic. You're absolutely right. Frizzell is underrated as well. Kanji's cinematography is amazing, given the stuff that he's shooting sometimes, which even the sort of slime lattices that the aliens came up with this one. I mean, you can actually kind of hand wave that just as being, they're mutants as much as anything else. But they basically end up like, somebody looks like a mix of Elmer's glue and, wood mulch, which is a look.
I can't think of anything I dislike about the acting either. I mean, I can't pick a certain actor out and say that person sucked.
The acting The acting is fine, but the deliveries are very dodgy a lot of the time. But I think
I will
that I
actually
would blame
agree
on
with
the
that.
editing and direction.
I love Dominique Pinion, and there were a couple of points where they put lines in his mouth that should have gone for another take or two, because its emphasis is on the wrong point in a couple of the lines.
I can see that. Yeah.
I can go with that.
It's really fun. There's a story that the original line, when he comes out, he says, "What are you expecting? Santa Claus?"
Yeah.
I like that line.
Originally, it was supposed to be Easter Bunny, the Easter Bunny. He could not say Easter. He kept saying Eastern Bunny. And every time he said it, everybody laughed to the point where they were like, fine, fuck it, change the line. And so that's where we ended up with Santa Claus.
And I love Dominique Pinion. I will watch anything he's in.
And of course, Santa Claus ends up
Anything
making it play as a reference to City of Lost Children, which is nice.
Yep.
You know, this is a movie where spotting the references I find almost more fun than the actual movie itself. You know, like the little bit of the Jerry Goldsmith score right at the beginning of the movie. Just kind of little bits that are callbacks to the previous films, kind of spread throughout it. You know, the sun goes down on the Auriga, and that's when everything goes apeshit. I mean, little visual bits.
Circling back on Prometheus and those movies, I consider them separate from the Alien franchise. I do not consider them continuations. I consider those to be ruminations from an elderly man who wants nothing more than to have his name stapled onto his legacy or something. Because to me, a new Alien film has to be directed by somebody young and unknown.
So you consider them the Star Wars prequels of the Alien series?
No, those prequels fit into the lore, like, whether we like it or not. Like, they're terrible movies, but they're in the lore. If you're going to be a Star Wars fan, you kind of just have to accept them. It led to some good stuff. You do. As bad as they are, if you are going to be a fan, you just have to accept that half of that series is going to be shit.
I'm glad I'm not a Star Wars fan.
It sucks.
But that's a whole other conversation.
So essentially, you're looking at the ostensible prequel movies as their own sort of distinct, separate, non-canonical sub-franchise in the same way that kind of Fox views the AVP movies.
A little bit.
That's fair.
I couldn't give up the Clone Wars TV show. I love that show.
I've never seen the Clone Wars TV show. I know. I've been told it's really, really good.
I am gonna one day we'll do that.
Well, I mean, at the same time, we should hope that this would give the next Alien movie some hope for you, because Fede Alvarez is pretty young, and if he's well known to genre fans, he's not really well known to anybody else.
I am going to see it. Obviously, I hate Fede Alvarez. I have hated everything he's made. I think he's one of those people who likes to see good kills. That's just my assumption about him. I have no proof. It just feels that way. I get the wrong impression from him. I'm not a big fan, but I'm a big fan of Alien series, of the Alien franchise. I'm a big fan of new people coming to it and showing their own distinctive spin, because each one of those movies is in a different genre. And each one of them looks completely different, even if they hit the same beats. It really is almost like artists revisiting the previous artists and saying, what can I add to this soup? And that's what I love about the series. And when you get Ridley Scott coming back and kind of trying to make it his own again and take the reins or whatever, I feel that it dishonors what the franchise has become, and that's why I keep them separate. And that's primarily why I don't like those movies. I don't like them for other reasons, but it's like I don't know, ethical, moralistic. I don't know. It's a thing with me.
It's like, don't turn my holy cow into hamburger.
Yeah.
I feel that way all the time.
Maybe I might be bitter at the old guard sitting for so long, not retiring and getting the fuck out of the way for the next generation, infantilizing us and making this cap. Anyway, I was going to get into
Why people
capitalism,
do
but it's okay. I don't have to.
Well, I was going to say, who would you want to do an alien movie at this point?
Right now,
Edgar Wright.
That would ever actually do an alien movie.
Oh,
hmm. I would pick one of two. I would either ask the folks who did Psycho Gorman and see
Astron 6. Okay.
and see
Yeah,
and see a throwback alien film with real actual alien effect, like people in suits and stuff, and I think they'd have fun with it. It would be a more comical film. If I want it to be more
The
horrific,
studio would never, ever do it. But still.
if I wanted it to be a more horror, more in line with the first one, and you guys are going to be really surprised at this, but I would pick Ty West.
Okay.
Well, okay.
Because you want to see what he would do.
I want to see what he would do, and he does shoot tight corridors incredibly well.
Yeah.
So that's he does inside what the hell is the word? Not
Interiors?
Interior, yeah, he does interior. Thank you. Horror very well.
It does know how to do a slow burn.
But if I really had my own choice, if I were a producer and had the money or had access to people who had the money to make an alien movie, I would pick and I forgot
Yourself.
his name. Yes.
Yeah,
Nathan
yourself.
Kessner.
No. Fucking the guy who did Hereditary.
Ari
Aster?
Aster?
Ari Aster.
Oh God, that would be horrifying. But no, I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't watch that.
2.5 hours. He would delve into the psychology of the creatures in a very physical
No,
way.
thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean, Aster would be very interesting. I think that would be a movie that would be so raw as to be impossible to watch.
Probably.
And he would describe it as a comedy.
They'd love it in Sweden.
Oh yeah. No, that would be agonizing. I'd be down. Never gonna happen. In this world, you'd sooner get Aronofsky.
I don't know. There are a lot of people I'd like to see make an alien movie, and I wish they'd make one a year with a different director and just have fun with it and forget about Ripley and shit. Let it be a new story every time, or do a continuation story. Who gives a shit? Just fucking be creative and do something new, you assholes.
And in the meantime, for the next Alien movie, we're coming up on, because it's going to be released in 2024, at least they gave up the idea of putting it on Hulu like they did with Prey, when they realized how much frickin' money they lost by putting Prey on Hulu. So it is going to theaters. It is actually syncing up with the longest previous turnaround between Alien installment franchises, going back to Alien Covenant in 2017, which matches the turnaround from Alien Resurrection to Alien vs. Predator between 1997 and 2004. Just same turnaround 20 years later. Interesting.
It's not entirely a desert for Alien franchise fans, but it's close.
Yeah. There are those occasional things we find that stand in for it from time to time.
We have been talking for an hour about Alien Resurrection. I feel pretty good about that. Any final thoughts before we move on?
I really do like it.
I
just have problems with it.
I thought it was fine. I mean, this isn't my franchise, but I thought it was enjoyable enough. I was expecting a movie that didn't feel at all like an Alien movie, based on what you guys were saying last week. To me, it felt like it was an entertaining Alien movie.
It held up a lot better than I remembered. I'm glad we revisited it, because I really do like it better now, because the first time I watched it, all I really remembered was a little bit of Dominique Pinion and the child getting sucked out through that hole, like Goldfinger.
If you feel like revisiting at some point, I will make a shout out for the extended version, which I do think constitutes a distinct improvement. But again, individual mileage will vary.
I'll watch it one of these days. I intended to watch it this time, but You know,
Mm.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet convinced me otherwise. Anyway, let's move on to. We're gonna make it quick this week, so no more than 2 things. But what do we watch? Or 3? I don't know. Just be quick.
Okay, I'll hurry. My last night was my roommate's birthday, Jenner's brother's birthday, and we let him pick, and he went with Army of Thieves. Absolutely delightful.
All
I don't know
right.
that one.
It
is that?
It's the Army of the Dead prequel.
Yeah.
It was great. Look, it's got a few zombies in it, sure, but I'm going to show my mom this next week. That's how good it is. And
It is a.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is a.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it is a heist movie with a zombie apocalypse going on in the background for color, which
It's
makes
fantastic.
it almost unique in motion picture history, as far as I know.
I loved it so much. But then I watched more K-dramas. But what I really want to mention is Nate. You should watch Sweet Home with Amelia if you want to get started on.
Why
Have
would
you
do
seen it?
that?
Because
Why
it's
would you do
scary.
We.
Why?
Oh, Sweet Home, Sweet Home. I was thinking about that Candy Deer Kid show.
No.
Tooth.
Sweet Tooth.
Oh,
No.
Sweet Tooth. I started cracking up.
Have you seen? No,
Sweet Home. I love Sweet Home. Yeah, Sweet Home is
Okay.
great. It's very. She might be okay with it. Yeah.
I mean, it is scary. I thought it was very.
Is a
scary,
season 2 ever coming?
Because I'm watching.
Do season 2s ever come anymore now?
I don't think so. Not with. I don't know. Was it supposed to have a second season? Maybe.
Ended on a
Anyway,
cliffhanger.
I've been watching a lot of dramas with people who were in Sweet Home, so it's like, wait a minute, I gotta make sure Nate hasn't or has seen it because
Great show, so good.
Yeah, it's the same 16 episode thing, but it's exactly the kind of thing you would love. So yep.
I do need to show that to Amelia.
I'm done. I'm gonna go and get a glass of iced tea while y'all talk. Not that I'm not interested, but I'm so thirsty. Okay, bye.
Quick incidental something or other with Sweet Home, of course. Albeit the K-drama is a very loose adaptation of the original source material, which was kind of the father of survival horror for the original Nintendo platform. There has been a previous film adaptation of that back in 1988, directed by none other than Kiyoshi Kurosawa. So yeah, if you haven't hunted that up, it's actually pretty good as well. It was before kind of Kiyoshi in full, but still.
Yeah.
Mine's pretty quick if you want. I'll
go ahead.
real quick. So I watched a lot of The Bear, which is funny because there isn't that much of The Bear. So let me explain. So season 2 just premiered last week, and I hosted a group watch on my Discord. So in preparation, I rewatched season 1 of The Bear over a couple nights. And then my friend wanted to participate in the group watch, but she hadn't seen season 1 yet. So she came over and we watched season 1 in one sitting. So I watched season 1 twice within 4 days. And then we watched all of season 2 in one sitting.
You're a man of steel.
I don't want to say too much of it because you should all. I know Jenner and Jane are watching it, but you should all watch The Bear. It's season 2. I would say not quite as good as season 1. It's more ambitious, which is great when it works. There's a few lulls in the narrative. It's not nearly as searingly intense as season 1, just because it's not as claustrophobic. They're not in a hot sandwich shop kitchen all the time. They're preparing to open a new restaurant. I don't know how to recommend this show more without saying too much about it. You should all just watch it.
I mean, it's got rave reviews. You love it.
Everyone loves it.
It's nerve destroying as feature, not bug.
Yeah, it's also not long. Season 1, I think that when we watched it in one sitting, it took about it's 8 episodes. It took about 4.5 hours. Season 2, 10 episodes. It took about 7 hours because we had to watch ads on Hulu. But it was a good week. Watched 3 seasons of The Bear of the 2 seasons that exist.
Wow.
Nice.
Clever.
Jenner, why don't you go next?
Go ahead, Jenner.
You always go last.
Well, okay. Let's see. I've got three. Well, I watched following on from our found footage-ish kick from last week. I took a look at a relatively recent film called Marui Video, which loosely translated is essentially forbidden video, or essentially like crime scene video, the stuff that they locked away for being like crime scene footage that's just too gory. Which is about a haunted video cassette, which is always fun. Okay, film, nothing too terribly monumental. Drags its last act on a little bit too long. Worth a look for the overly adventurous. It's not bad. It's just not great. As far as I got three things that are eminently recommendable. Ennis Men, which is about a woman who is studying horticulture on an isolated island, is an interesting sort of folk horror-ish, mind-fucky thing. It's not as good as I was expecting, but it was still pretty good, and it's shot really interesting. I think they actually shot it on, like old-school Eastman color 16mm stock, so that's fun, or at least they processed it.
That's on my list. It's way high up on my list. I want to see it.
It's worth a look. I'd be interested in your thoughts.
I'm sorry, what's the name?
Enys Men, Enys Men.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, two very, very strong recommendations. One for the Taiwanese zombie picture, not the sadness, Get the Hell Out, which is about a chaotic zombie outbreak at the Taiwanese parliament. It's a riot. It is an absolute hoot and a half, not least for the fun that it has with the Taiwanese parliamentary system, which apparently is every bit as ridiculous as it's presented in the movie. like fights openly breaking out on the floor between different factions. Try to hunt it up. It's a riot. The movie is Get the Hell Out.
Wow.
And finally, on the subject of your pet director for an alien film, I finally saw Beau is Afraid. Damn.
I have one question for you, because I don't even know the plot. I know nothing about it. Am I capable of watching it?
I would approach with extreme caution.
How about this?
Do kids die?
Capable of watching it?
No.
I think I'm a lot more sensitive. Oh, not a lot. I'm a little more sensitive than Nate. So.
No, there's no child death in the thing.
Okay.
It's not it's psychological trauma. It's an Ari Aster film.
Oh no,
it's
I'll
about
like that.
It's about the absolute horror of family relations.
Oh, great! That sounds like it's right up my alley.
Actually, check that. I stand corrected. There is a tweener death.
Is it a main character? Do we know them? Is it tragic? How does it happen?
It's a supporting character, kind of a semi-major supporting character. It's ambiguous, but it's kind of rough. Yeah,
I've got a tweener.
I was about to say it's not a violent demise. It's a tragic type thing. It's thoroughly bizarre because it feels unmotivated, or more precisely, it's motivated in a way that we don't know what the motivation is.
What type of death is it? Is it murder?
Suicide.
It's suicide. Okay. Interesting. Now you have me back in. Now I'm curious again.
And admittedly, from a cinematic standpoint, it is an interesting suicide. But it is absolutely a film about the absolute nightmare of family relations, because it's an Ari Aster picture.
Yeah.
I'll
gird my loins.
The movie's a hard watch.
Wagner, did you want to go next?
Sure, I can.
I'll
First,
go last.
Movie night.
Yay! One of my favorites.
I probably haven't seen that in 30 years, maybe more.
With the exception of a little bit of the green screening of Bubo the Mechanical Owl, it pretty much holds up all the way through. I mean, this is a DVD copy.
I think I have that. I have that copy of it.
Stop motion is ageless. Stop motion is forever.
Yeah, it's like pixel art.
Exactly. I also finally got to the end of the 3rd season of True Detective.
I still need to
Um,
finish that one myself.
I've
We're
only
like
seen the
two,
first.
I've
we're like
only
2
seen the
episodes away
first.
from the end, and we just kind of, wound up.
Okay.
Yeah.
True Detective. 1st season, love it. 2nd season, up its own ass. 3rd season isn't bad, but it dicks around too much. The entire season is told from the perspective of 3 different time points on the same case. There is the initial investigation, and then there is the investigator something like 10, 15 years later. I don't remember the exact time frames. And then the investigator as an old man revisiting it. And it cuts between them. And this should be great and artistic, but it's too fucking long to do that. And it has a distinctly tragic ending. It sets itself up to be about child trafficking again after the first film. And it turns out that's not what's going on exactly. I don't know if you want me to go any further into it. Is there any chance any of you are actually going to
I'm
watch
not
the 3rd
going
season?
to.
We still want
Probably
to actually
not.
see the last couple of episodes, so I should probably go and get some
Yeah,
air for
okay.
a sec.
This will only take
Yeah.
a second. So very briefly, at the very end, it seems to end because they discover that the girl they're looking for, who disappeared as a child, apparently got AIDS, being out there in the world, ended up at a orphanage, an orphanarium, and died of AIDS and was buried. But then the great detective, who is the elderly man narrating all of this, not narrating, but it's from his perspective, realizes, wait, what if that's not what happened? What if they told me that story because they know there are still powerful people looking for this woman? So that's the story they told to everyone. Wait a minute. And he puts a few other things together and realizes this woman is actually married, met up with someone from her old hometown, and they went off and they're safe somewhere having a family and children. And he goes off to meet them, but the main character in the film suffers from both dementia and Alzheimer's. And he gets there, literally pulls up in front of their house, forgets where he is and why he's there, walks up and talks to them and has them call he's on the phone with his son, asks them where he is, they give him the address, his son picks him up. That's the end of the series. So he
Okay,
never
then.
finds out that there was a happy ending under
Yeah,
the tragic ending.
We're okay now. Okay, I think we're
Now
done,
we're done.
right?
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah,
come
we're
on
done.
back. There
So
he is.
it's an interesting take on it. I also
I have no interest in that series at this point. The first season kind of led into that little bit of cosmic horror kind of thing,
mm-hmm.
and I loved that, and that's what I loved about it. And
yeah, you don't get any more of that.
yeah,
at all. There is a reference at one point to the first season in the 3rd season, but none of it touches on it. Because my folks were coming through, they were heading up to Wisconsin. They spent the night. They spent a day with us. So I needed to find something to watch with them. So we watched The Trip because my mother loves BritBox. And I happen to have The Trip. And I wanted her to see it specifically because the sequel is The Trip to Italy. And my mother is obsessed with it. She's been to Italy like 7 times and loves it. Cool. And every time they get an opportunity. So I know she's going to want to see that. I told her what the title of the second one was, so she'll be back to see that one.
That's a delightful series.
I love it.
It's fun. It's fun. You have to accept that the characters in it are morally suspect.
Yeah, very much so. I was very disappointed in them for a lot of it too.
And Rob Brydon.
Yeah. But they were characters. Yeah, I know. When
Steve Coogan is not afraid to play Steve Coogan as a villain. If you haven't seen it, give Tristram Shandy, which is technically a prequel to that series, a look in its own right. It's the whole Steve Coogan, Rob Brydon, and Michael Winterbottom thing. And for most of the movie, it's Steve Coogan playing Tristram Shandy.
I actually have Tristram Shandy on the shelf back there. A cock and bull story, right?
Yeah.
And I also managed to finish up Human Resources. I don't know if any of you know what that is.
That's right. There's a new season, isn't there?
Oh, is there?
There's a new season of Human Resources. It's the spin-off of Big Mouth. It is. I can't recommend it because it is about 90% gross out as humor, but it is about 10% absolutely profound genius. My personal favorite has to be Kevin from Grief. For those who don't know it, these are abstract concepts of the motivations in human beings personified in a cartoon. So it is kind of Inside Out if it was mostly obsessed with porn and sex.
So Inside Out, if it were honest, is what you're saying.
That's what
Yeah,
I
a little
was
bit. But they have like they have,
I get you.
if it were good.
yeah, if they have love bugs and logic rocks, and
Hormone
they introduce
monsters.
yes, hormone monsters.
Kevin
shit,
from
what's
Grief
the
was
gremlin?
Henry Winkler, wasn't he?
I maybe. And my personal favorite is the Shame Wizard.
Yes.
Yes.
The Shame
Oh my
Wizard was carried over
Thewlis.
from Big Mouth. Yeah, David Thewlis is the Shame Wizard. He's kind of astonishingly good in it, but it is mostly gross out humor. Just be aware.
Yeah, you
That's
could
all I
say
got.
the same thing about Big Mouth. It's 90% gross out humor and 10% really, really freaking profound. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin from Grief is a monster who is basically a big cozy sweater. But if you actually watch the episode having to do with that one, it is genuinely kind of profound about grief, and if you don't face it, what happens with grief in that it becomes this gigantic ravaging monster that destroys your life. So,
All right.
Yeah, that was Henry Winkler. That was an amazing, amazing guest turn. Yeah.
I guess it's my turn. Things I watched this week. I watched Rumble in the Bronx again with the kids to show them a Jackie Chan movie. It's ridiculous. It's the overdubbing is hilarious, especially since most of the actors do their own dub. And yeah, it's a fun movie. It's stupid and makes no sense, but that's exactly what you want out of it. Kids love it. Great family movie. Also in the vein of family friendly, we saw We Have a Ghost.
Yes.
Oh, that was fun.
That's a
It
fun
was.
movie. It has more in common with a movie like Harry and the Hendersons than I expected.
okay.
It's pretty much the same movie, the same plot, but just change it up a little bit, make it a ghost and shit, and there's a mystery. But yeah, a lot of fun. Great cast. Everybody's great in it. Even throughout the film, I kept saying, "Oh, that dad's so shitty." Anthony Mackie, that dad's so shitty. He's so shitty. It's a family film, so he learns lessons, and everybody learns lessons, and it's great. Not for little kids, though. There are a couple. There's some language. There might be some scary moments. Declan was scared a couple of times, but he gets scared at a lot of things really easily. But I do recommend it for families and stuff like that. Now the one that I actually want to talk about. We watched John Wick 4.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Wait, so who's seen it? Just you and me now?
Not me.
Okay, just you and me. I didn't like it, maybe,
I know
but
Jess
I did
hated
like it.
Jess hated it.
Yeah.
It's
a long movie.
There's a 2-hour movie in there that is brilliant, but it's almost 3 hours.
Yeah, it's way too long. There's a
I love
lot.
that description.
Yeah,
So it's one absolutely merciless edit away from being a really, really good movie, you're saying?
Yeah. The last 30 minutes are some of my favorite moments in John Wick in the series. The staircase sequence goes on too long. The Osaka hotel battle goes on too long. Every single action scene goes on too long.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you the staircase sequence? You think he's done, and more guys show up, and you think there's going to be some clever way he's just going to dispatch them really quickly. But no, the fight keeps on going.
Yep.
And that happens multiple times.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah.
But the falling down the staircase is awesome when it's looped.
Yeah.
I still want to see it.
It needed a severe edit. It wasn't as good as any of the others. It's the worst one, easily, by far. The ending is very ambiguous because it's meant to be. The direct.
Apparently, it was not at first.
Really?
Stahelski.
Yeah, apparently. Well, they're making John Wick 5 now, but I think at the time they even said they wanted to maybe close out the series.
Well, I know Keanu said that, but he always said as a director that he wanted audiences to think whatever they wanted that would make them happy, which I think is one of the best statements from a director I've ever heard on an ambiguous ending, which is basically like, I don't give a shit.
I hate ambiguous endings, and I know you do too, Nate. And
I do.
You weren't too.
It did not bother me at all.
It's not ambiguous in a frustrating way.
No.
It's not that kind of movie.
It could go either direction and it would make perfect sense. There's a sequence that lasts for like 25 minutes where John Wick goes across a highway with a bunch of cars that never stop and ping pong balls off of like all of them. He does not miss a car. He like jumps in front of cars to get hit by cars.
Well, he's got Teflon suits.
And then another guy will come up and he'll be like, I'm a gangster, gonna kill you, John Wick. And he'll be like shoved into a car and he'll just be like, I'm dead. It's a superhero movie now. It's beyond any sort of, it's just a flesh wound. It's Last Action Hero. It's gone full tilt. I don't mind that, but it's there.
So I have to say, just out of curiosity, I Googled John Wick 4 staircase looped, and apparently they made a 10-hour version of the looped.
Yep.
Yeah, with the only time I've seen something like that before was somebody looped a full 24 hours. I think it was 24 hours of the sax solo from Careless Whisper. I always thought that was an enormous waste of time, but
the John Wick loop was probably not hard to make because they only had to loop it like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, it was a very long sequence of him falling down the stairs.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. All right, we all watched stuff and talked about it. We need to start thinking about what we're going to do for next week. Jane said you will not be available.
I will not be available. It's my son's birthday. We're going to go back.
Happy
to
birthday!
Wait,
Hey.
it's 4th of July, right? I don't know if I'm going to be available that night.
Yeah, he's 5th
Okay.
of July.
okay.
I mean, do we want to take the 4th of July
I was
off?
going to say you.
Yeah, we can.
Well,
I
let's
already
punt.
said I
Let's
wouldn't
punt
be
next
available,
week.
too.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm around, but what do I mean?
I mean, we could have a conversation. I'd be okay with it. I'm
we
not
could-
doing
we could-
anything on 4th of July.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we could have like 2 hours of more shit talking about the Alien movies.
no,
Lord knows
shit.
We could do that.
Shit, let's try to think of a movie I've always wanted you to see that you've refused to see, and a movie you've always wanted me to see, I've refused to see.
Oh, good
That
Lord,
would
there
be
are so
great.
many.
That would be. I would watch that.
I mean, I'll tune in for that. I don't know if I just don't know if I'm going to be available.
I just think that
Probably
sounds
not.
like fun.
No, that sounds like fun. We should probably talk about that off the actual feed. I'm
I'm fine.
Oh,
with,
okay,
I'm fine with
okay.
sitting
I
in on
wanna
this
hear this.
conversation. Yeah.
all right. That being the case,
I'm trying
I know,
now I'm trying to think of them.
yeah, that's the problem. Is I was trying to gracefully segue out because I'm drawing a frickin' blank over here, man.
Okay, start naming movies you love, and I'll start naming random movies I love too, and maybe we'll hit one.
Let me think.
I'm gonna start.
Going down my mental. Okay.
Have you seen Miss Congeniality?
Yes.
Okay. Have you
Okay.
seen?
I haven't.
Next week. It's not about
We
you,
don't
Shane.
count this time, Shane.
Well, yeah, we could always collect data for later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I have to step up for just a moment.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. I'm gonna go on IMDb and just go down Sandra Bullock's entire
The Lake
list.
House. I haven't seen the Lake House.
I've seen the Lake House. I like the Lake
I
House.
like it.
Have you both seen Speed 2?
Yes.
No.
I'm not gonna convince him to watch that. I don't like it.
Well, it's not good.
I don't know anybody who likes it. I take that as telling. Not just your reviews, but nobody actually likes the movie. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that new one she did with Channing Tatum and Brad Pitt in the jungle?
Oh yeah. That
Oh,
is-
The Lost City?
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. It
was okay.
The
fun. Like-
Brad Pitt part was good,
It was a hoot.
but
How about Bird
Red-
Box?
Yeah, I've seen Bird Box.
I've read Bird Box. I haven't seen
People
it.
Brooks.
Oh shit.
I-
Oh shit.
Oh shit! What?
What?
Have you ever seen Love Potion number 9?
I have.
Ages ago.
On
it doesn't
cable.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, for freaking ever ago.
That was a favorite of mine growing up.
Demolition Man.
Love Demolition Man.
Love
Yeah.
that movie.
Brilliant.
I was the only person in the theater who cheered when she said that she learned that shit from old Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
Surrounded by a bunch of freaking Philistines.
You generally don't like... No? Comedies are your weakest genre?
Probably.
Oh, All About Steve.
Sorry.
Watch All About Steve.
I
I've
have
never
not
seen it.
seen All About Steve,
I've heard nothing good about that movie.
nor have I seen The Blind Side. Yes, I know. I know our friend
Yeah.
Pat's in it, but I have not actually seen The Blind Side.
I
Yeah.
didn't like it.
I got
I don't care about
community credit for watching The Blind Side.
What's that one where
I'm
they're
not even
taking the
kidding.
train and the other and trying to go to Savannah with Sandra Bullock and I forget.
Oh,
who's the
Forces
guy.
of Nature.
Yeah.
Affleck. Yeah, no, I saw that.
I love that one. Actually, I was living in Savannah when they were filming it. So
Bullock feels like an odd fit for a manic pixie dream girl.
Is that what
didn't
we're
hate
trying
it.
to name?
It
Sorry,
was
I
a-
missed it.
I thought it was an odd movie. I thought it was kind of weak.
I kept going, "Hey, that's the globe."
I have a better idea.
What was that?
Tell me movies that you have categorically refused to see.
Oh, great. This is you're
Let's
telling me to.
reverse it. I'll tell you movies that I do not want to ever see. Maybe
that's-
we'll hit on one that one or the other likes.
This is one of those things where you're basically telling me to turn off kind of an active subroutine of my brain. It's like you're telling me to see. It's like passing by the same location. It's like passing by a jewelry store. I give no flying syrupy shits about jewelry. I literally do not see jewelry stores, despite passing by them multiple ones. I assume on my way to and from work on a daily basis. My brain is clotted with stuff I like, man. I literally don't think about the stuff I don't think about for the most part. Okay, let me think. Movies.
You don't have enough
Real-
hate in your life.
This is the problem. Is I probably have less hate in my life than you do, Nate. There are lots of movies that I like that you really probably wouldn't.
Yeah. I know there are some that I've watched that are like really
Oh,
questionably.
fuck you, Wagner. Fuck you.
Wait, what was that?
What?
Wait,
What? I missed it.
I've never seen that. I don't need to see
I
it.
hate that movie.
Piece of shit.
I just can't think of movies that you haven't seen.
I can't think of movies I haven't seen except for movies that. Let me think.
Hey, I like that movie.
I haven't seen it.
I
You
love
haven't
Lost
seen
in
it?
Translation.
I love it. Yeah, it's a great movie. I know Nate wasn't a huge fan of that.
Was there no one to shower you with attention?
What?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the French version, right?
No, the one I grabbed was the was the American version.
Yeah, I'm
but-
not watching the American version of that. I have the French. I have the French version. I have not seen it yet. Ooh,
Hey, did you say you
yes.
haven't seen In Bruges? Wasn't that one of the ones that?
Oh,
But yeah.
Because that's
That feels like one that would be fun to talk with everybody else about, though.
Well,
Also,
yeah,
I'm willing to watch that one.
Let's
Oh.
talk about something free. You've seen Martyrs, right?
No. Oh, is that the Hugh Jackman?
No.
No,
No,
that's
that's
Are you thinking
Prisoners. I didn't like Prisoners either. I
Okay.
like.
Wait,
I-
Nate, you don't
I
know
wouldn't say-
Martyrs? Even I know Martyrs.
no. I do know Martyrs. That's the like
The French
the-
one.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah.
and it looks like it has super rape and violent toward women.
Super
Yep.
rape.
Super child abuse too.
It's a horrifying movie. Yes.
Ugh.
I'm not going to force that one on you.
Yeah.
Trying to think of something that's less aggressive than that. The problem is, I really think we probably ought to go, take this offline and go to the well, unless you have something like directly off the cuff.
I'm going to look at a
Buffalo
list called
Lobster?
very forgettable movies.
Well,
I just
also,
This
Have you
just feels
both seen The
cruel.
Lobster?
Yes, we've seen I've seen the lobster. I still need to see a killing of a sacred deer, but
Ooh.
There's,
you need to- well,
there's one I
well,
refuse to see.
You
Categorically.
all need to see Dogtooth, but
still need to see Dogtooth. But that's one that we
That's-
needed to
that's
talk
for the
about
whole
on the
group, I
program.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one
you're
for the
going
team.
to talk about, but yeah, all of us want to talk
Did
I
you
don't
see,
really. I would be fine with you talking about killing of a sacred deer without me. I've seen it, but I don't need to talk about it.
Yeah.
That
That's-
feels like one for the team. I don't know.
Isn't that also child death?
Yes.
Like
about. I'm
massively?
not watching that.
Yeah, I'm not
Massively,
watching
yeah.
that.
That's the central point of
Well,
it.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, I know how that movie ends.
Yeah.
I don't. So
I do.
I have my
actually-
ideas. I know Yorgos Lanthimos is not letting anybody off easy.
Right.
No, he's
Yeah,
not.
especially
in
not
a
Colin
departure-
Farrell's family.
In a departure from everything I have ever done, I went online and looked up the ending of this killing of a sacred deer. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that one goes on the shelf of things I keep an eye on.
Mm.
There are a couple movies I like on this list of forgettable movies.
Like what?
Like what? Yeah.
Monkey Bone.
I don't like Monkey
I've
Bone.
never seen Monkey Bone.
It's
I
not a
did
good
not-
movie, but I
I
liked
did
it.
not like Monkey Bone.
I
I liked it for about 10 minutes in the middle.
I think Chris Kattan is great in that movie. I think he's so funny. Everything
Kattan
out about it, I don't remember, but Chris
Kattan
Kattan
was
is,
underappreciated as an actor. He
Yeah, I
was
think
he worked his ass off in every film they ever put him in. He aside from Jeffrey Rush, he was the best thing about the '99 House on Haunted Hill.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie until
That was
the
a good
last
movie.
15
It was a
the
really
last-
freaking.
But the ending ruins it. It needed to stay tongue in cheek and fun, and not be like ghosts are real.
I'm
They needed to
okay
Fuck
with
that
Whoopi
I'm
Goldberg.
okay with what they did.
Yeah.
You saw 13 Ghosts, right?
Yeah, that movie's hilarious.
Oh, that's a great freaking movie.
I
And
Tanya's great.
Yeah,
I Tanya's
I tell you,
fantastic.
yeah, that's good.
Okay, I kind of figured everybody had seen it. Sorry, I can only reach the I and the L without uploading here. So.
Yeah,
I can't reach myself at all.
I would be doing this program from the library, but there's no room to actually inhabit the library.
Let me see what I can see from
That's
here.
not what that room does. And in the meantime, I thought that everything is upstairs.
Did you see both the Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights?
I like
I saw the
What
first
are you
one.
guys
I have
gonna
not
talk
seen the
about?
second one.
What
Yeah,
would
I
you guys
know.
talk about with those.
I just think it'd be funny to have Jenner watch it. I don't know.
Well, actually,
I'm listing movies that are forgettable on.
Actually, I've got a movie that
I've not
you
seen Head of
both probably haven't seen because I know Jenner hasn't
Really?
seen because we started it and he was like, no, I can't. He's just like around the whole time. Master of Disguise.
Holy
The
shit!
Dana Carvey movie?
I
I've-
find one of my favorites. I love it.
I've
I
never
love
seen
I
it.
quote it
I
all
I
have-
the
have
time.
never seen it.
I
I
just,
made it. What did I make it? A half an hour?
No, 20 minutes.
I
want you
consider
guys to
that to
watch
be
that.
one of that's one of my I have refused to watch that movie for years.
I absolutely love it. I don't have to be around. I just want to hear you guys talk about it.
The only thing I know
available?
We're
about
not turtly enough for the Turtle Club.
I'll find it because I want to have a
Available?
conversation with Jenner about Master of Disguise.
I believe
think you
I
can
have
find
it
that
on
in the
DVD.
quarter bin.
I have it. I think I have it on DVD.
Yeah. Oh, you have it on DVD. I really don't want to go back into that.
Then it's decided.
Okay, so next week is everybody else sitting out, and me and Nate get to talk about a movie that neither of us actually wanted to watch.
It sounds like
Okay,
Nate wants
okay.
to watch it.
I actually
I don't,
like this plan,
but it's great.
I am down with this plan. Let's maybe rap about maybe something else to take the freaking edge off, because
Yeah.
you are not going to be any more okay than I am after you get into this piece of shit.
Also, I have plenty of time to watch other stuff too. So
Okay.
let's base it around Master of Disguise, but we'll come up with some other stuff to watch.
We'll come up with some other stuff to talk about. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah.
That sounds like a plan.
Life is pain. Anyway,
Yes.
Pain,
Yeah.
pleasure, indivisible.
oh, there is no pleasure. There is only degrees of pain.
But pain is
Anyway.
pleasure.
And it's safe for the kids too. Absolutely.
Oh, they're gonna be
I think Amelia will be like, no.
they're going out of town. I'm on my lonesome for the next
Oh.
couple of days.
Oh,
Woo,
wow.
party.
And that's how you're going to cut loose by watching Master of Disguise
Yes,
by yourself.
yes.
Or you could play it on Discord and make us all watch it at some point. I mean, no, don't do that. But we
I'm
could.
so jealous.
But now that you know that
Do
we
a
can
s-
do that here, Nate, we could always do group watches and stuff.
Yeah,
So, I
that'd
mean, I
be
do them all the
great.
time.
We should start doing
Actually,
that.
That's what we should do for the next episode. We should do this, but the episode is you and me watching The Master of Disguise.
Yes.
And just don't broadcast that on the YouTube. Just broadcast the two of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of.
We are going to live watch. We're going to live watch a movie neither of us want to watch, and that's what we're going to be doing.
I love it.
Follow it up. Follow it up with Joe Dirt 2.
Shut the
Sleep with one
fuck
eye
up!
open.
You're not helping.
Wait, isn't one of those supposed to
Damn
be
it.
not bad?
I have no idea.
I will admit it that I was entertained by the first one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all my film friends and teachers and masters of film. I gained
Disguise.
I had entertainment value from Joe Dirt. It's not
This
terrible.
just reveals an essential character flaw. It's okay. We've all got that.
At least you're a big enough man to admit it.
Yeah. I can recognize it. It made me laugh a couple of times. Now, I haven't seen it since it came out. And my greatest memory of it is that it entertained me. Is not really praise.
Yeah, that's like the bare minimum of cinematic functionality.
Yeah. I don't recommend it, or I do. I don't care. Do whatever
But this
you
is
want.
I am easy to make laugh. This is why I don't. This is why I consider comedies to be a minor genre unless they're mixed with something more interesting. Because making people laugh is easy. If you're not doing that, there's something fundamentally wrong with you. Beau is Afraid made me laugh. Now, of course, Ari Aster actually thinks it's a comedy. Technically, it is, I suppose. Even so, the point is making people laugh is easy. People will laugh about anything. People will laugh about being nervous about laughing in front of people.
That's me. Yeah.
If you can't make a good comedy, you shouldn't be making movies at all. That's kind of my point. Now, granted, there are lots of people who've made comedies that shouldn't be making movies at all, but we're going to see The Master of Disguise next week, which is a pity because I like Dana Carvey, or at least I want to like Dana Carvey.
He's not doing himself any favors anymore.
Not so much.
Have you ever seen Men at Work?
I love Men at Work.
I have not seen Men at Work.
Nate knows I love Men at Work.
I am told it is weirdly underrated.
It's
a masterpiece.
I mean, granted,
we'll save that for Shane.
We'll save that for Shane. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? I've seen it a million times.
No, but you're going to want to see it, so we'll save it for an episode you can be on.
I don't even need to rewatch it, honestly. I will, but I don't need to.
And in particular, we've punished Shane for the last 4 episodes in a row, where it's all been films he hasn't seen, so he has to catch up. So maybe we should make it Men at Work the week after, because we're not going to be on to discuss next week what we should watch.
Yeah. So I think that's a good idea. Let's just decide it now.
I mean, I know Nate loves Men at Work too.
Yeah.
If I've seen it, I don't remember.
I mean, it's fucking stupid, but it's
Do
great.
we have an episode's worth of stuff to talk about with Men at Work?
I don't know.
I think
aside from what a horrible person Charlie Sheen is.
I would like to talk about Charlie Sheen. I'd like to talk about Martin Sheen and Emilio Estevez. The whole family.
Okay, that feels like an interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's a brotherly movie, and God damn it, Keith
David
is in it.
Well, that's always wonderful.
And Dean Cameron. John Getz, Nate's buddy John Getz.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
My neighbor.
I know I saw him in something recently that was recent. I just forget what the heck it was.
He was on some big TV thing. I remember.
Yeah. Anyway,
He was like a. No, I'm gonna look it up because we're both gonna. I want everybody to know what it is, and we're both gonna be like, oh yeah. He was like. He was asking questions of somebody and just sitting.
I feel like I saw. I feel like I saw this.
Oh, The Last of Us.
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
yes,
point that out.
yes, yes.
And Doom Patrol.
I've not gotten far enough into Doom Patrol to see him. I don't think.
Okay, he was on.
That's another one. That's another one where we just kind of stopped watching after like episode 6 for some reason.
Oh shit! He was on Better Call
Probably
Saul.
Nicole.
Keep
Yeah, he
meaning
was.
to
That's
get
right.
back.
That's where I saw him recently. Better Call Saul.
All right.
Gets is getting work.
Oh, Nate, how
Yeah.
are you? How far are you in that? Aren't you watching that, or have you not?
We've got we got 5 episodes to go. We still haven't seen the cameos of Walt.
So the final
Jesse.
5 episodes of the final season.
Yeah,
That's
but you're
right.
absolutely right. It was The Last of Us I was thinking of.
Yeah, that's where I recently saw him as well. That's
Yeah.
good. I'm glad we figured that out. All right, let me end this episode so we're not sitting here forever. All right, that's gonna do it for us here on What's on the Pile. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at What's on the Pile, or you can visit our website what'sonthepile.com, which is not updated anymore. Just see us on YouTube. Join us next week for Masochism. It's going to be a hoot. Prepare to watch Master of Disguise with us and cry. Bring alcohol. All right.
Always do.